The Street Files. A complete mystery short story. Every Wednesday. File 39. Liquidity. One of the clients that Olivia Street worked for last year is the financier Arnold Daker. She had provided legal advice to him when his company had taken over a stock trading platform in Frankfurt to grow the footprint of Daker & Son and push it into the top 10 trading entities in Europe. On this Friday evening in July, Olivia and Poppy have been invited to celebrate Arnold's wife Verity's birthday near the Daker's London apartment in Canary Wharf. Arnold has booked the private dining room at Hawksmoor on Wood Wharf, and at just before 7 p.m, Olivia and Poppy are shown into a dark-panelled room with a table for 20 that is full of shining glassware and crisp white linen. Poppy has been included in the invitation because the Dakers have a son, Edward, who is the same age as her and is at Oxford University. He is the first person to greet them as they walk in. "I worked for your father last year, Edward," says Olivia as they shake hands. Edward has dark hair and pale green eyes.
"Everyone calls me Ed," he says to Poppy. "We're sitting next to each other at dinner."
A waiter offers them all champagne and they continue to talk. Then Arnold and Verity appear 30 seconds later. Arnold is grey-haired and large with black-framed glasses, whilst Verity is taller than him and immaculate. She has striking blue eyes and dark hair worn up to go with her Nilly Lotan black evening dress. The room fills up with other invitees until the whole place is abuzz with chatter. Arnold makes an announcement that food is about to be served, and the guests search for their name cards around the table. Olivia is sat between Arnold and a blonde-haired woman called Victoria, who works for him. "What do you do in the company, Victoria?" she says.
"I vet the people who approach Arnold with business proposals."
The woman's green eyes survey Olivia's clothes.
"To check they are who they say they are."
"Are there many people who aren't who they say they are, who approach Arnold?" says Olivia.
"Oh yes, many. He's well known and his celebrity attracts the untoward. You can't trust people on first meeting them."
She takes a mouthful of her crab starter. "Did he employ you to do this because he was tricked into something?" says Olivia. Victoria looks fleetingly at Arnold, who is talking to the man on his right-hand side.
"He doesn't like talking about it,"
she says. Olivia drinks her wine to let the woman continue.
6 months ago he was fooled out of nearly $1 million on trade. It was unlike him. He'd been buying stock since he was 10.
10? Olivia looks surprised.
His father Charles started Daker & Son before he had a son. Then he made sure Arnold was fully immersed in the world of stocks and shares. Before he reached adulthood, the old man died on Arnold's 21st birthday, leaving him everything."
Halfway down the table on the opposite side, Edward turns to Poppy.
"You're doing law undergrad?"
he says to her.
"Why did you choose that?"
"I like knowing the truth," she says.
"I don't follow,"
says Edward.
"The law's not about the truth, is it? It's just about lying well."
"Have you had experience in the law?"
says Poppy. He shakes his head.
"Dad has. He's always suing people, whether they've done something or not. He employs expensive lawyers who make a strong case based on hardly anything. They're all corrupt, aren't they?"
"He employed my mum. She's a lawyer,"
says Poppy.
"And she's not corrupt."
"She must be the only one."
"What are you doing at Oxford?"
she says, wanting to change topics.
"Maths and computing at Keble College."
"Why did you choose that?"
She echoes his question from earlier.
"It's the future. Everything will be about computers in our lifetime."
"Not everything."
"The important stuff. That's what Dad thinks."
"What do you think?"
she says.
"It doesn't matter what I think. My life's all been mapped out for me. It was the day I was born. Like Dad's was for him."
"Did you ever want to do anything else but trade stocks and shares?"
"I've never thought about it."
"Have you got siblings who are being pushed into the company too?"
she says.
"Only me. My sister's not interested."
"Did your dad want her to be in the company?"
Of course, but they had a massive bust-up 6 months ago. She walked out. They don't know where she is. Dad has a private detective trying to find her.
What did they argue about?
Edward puts his finger to his lips. Then he leans to whisper in Poppy's ear.
That bloke sitting on the other side of you, he says. He was her boyfriend at the time.
At the head of the table, Arnold turns to Olivia. "Thank you for inviting Poppy as well as me," she says to him. "You said to me last year that your daughter was following in your footsteps as a lawyer, and that's my plan for Edward, to follow in my footsteps, so I'm hoping she makes him see sense about his destiny." "Is Edward not keen on taking over from you?"
"He blows hot and cold," says Arnold. "I never thought about any other career. My father died young, so I was handed the baton anyway, the week after my finals at Cambridge."
"What happened to your father?"
"He shot himself."
Arnold looks directly at her, and there's a second when they don't speak. Then he adds,
"It was the only honourable way out."
"Of what?"
"Dirty deals inside the company."
"That he'd made?" she says.
"No, not at all, but it was on his watch."
"What happened to the people who were guilty of the dirty deals?"
"He never said."
"But when you took over, did you try and find out?"
Olivia looks at his face to find the truth. Time had moved on. I had more pressing priorities.
"You took over at 21, she says. "That's a big responsibility for such a young man."
It was what was expected of me. I never questioned it.
The man on Poppy's left finishes his conversation with the woman on his left, and he turns around to look at her.
"Hello, I'm Poppy," she says. "Sam," he says, "do you work for the Dakers?"
"No, I'm a venture capitalist, an investor."
"What do you invest in?"
"Startups," says Sam. "London's full of them because of the available liquidity."
"You mean money, don't you? Why do you call it liquidity?"
"It flows everywhere. It's not tied to a deal. It can be anything to anyone at any time.
The universal donor. If you don't work for the Dakers, did you get invited because you're a friend of the family?" she says.
"I'm not sure friend is the term that Arnold and Verity would use." Poppy decides to push him further.
"You went out with Cassie, did you, their daughter? Who told you that? Is that a yes?"
She smiles at him.
"What happened with her? They don't talk to her?"
"A disagreement, that's all."
"Weren't you suspicious when you got an invitation for this gig?"
"They only invite people to their dinners who can help them out. That's what they always do. They don't bother with people who aren't valuable."
"I'm not valuable to them."
She pulls her eyebrows together. "You will be," says Sam. "There'll be some plans up their sleeve that you're part of, to help them address some concern they have, some issue, some problem."
"What problem do you address for them?"
"They want Cassie back," he says. "They think I know where she is."
"And do you? Are you a plant?"
he says.
"Briefed to get me to talk?" "No, I wouldn't do that sort of thing. I'm all about honesty, not tricking people," she says. "So, do you know where she is?"
"We split up," he says.
"She was trying to con me.
I saw through it. She tried to get capital from her dad, and he said no. Then she tried to do the same to me." The food and conversation roll on into the evening, and eventually Arnold makes a speech about Verity being his foundation, and he gives her a De Beers Arpeggio multi-diamond pendant necklace. Then he announces that they are going to walk to the apartment for coffee and cheese to finish off the evening. The party flows through the streets of Canary Wharf until they reach the block that houses the Daker's penthouse, and the lift glides smoothly into the sky. Everyone gets a chance to talk to people who they weren't sitting next to at dinner, and beyond the wide glass doors to the balcony, the sun starts to set over the river and over London. There's a buzz from the entry phone, and Verity presses the button to let in a delivery man with a case of her favourite wine, which she guesses is another surprise from her husband. The delivery man appears at the door to the flat and offers to take the box of bottles into the kitchen as it's heavy, and Verity lets him through. The kitchen is on the right-hand side of the floor plan, and the delivery man crosses the room and leaves the box on the kitchen counter, then re-emerges into the main living area. He doesn't return to the front door but diverts towards the balcony. Sam is there on his phone, and the delivery man doesn't stop walking as he approaches Sam. Then he raises his hands and pushes Sam, who is only 2 feet from the edge. The momentum from the push sends Sam into the steel and glass barrier. But he doesn't stop. He tips over, and in a moment, he's gone. The delivery man walks back through the lounge and out of the front door, closing it behind him. No one saw the events happen. After 20 minutes, there's another buzz from downstairs. Verity again answers, and this time it's Ken, the head of security for the block, who asks to come up and talk to her. When he appears from the lift, Verity opens the door but doesn't invite him in.
"What is it, Ken?"
He has a piece of paper in his hand, and he raises it up for her to see. It's a still from the security cameras at the entrance to the flats.
"This young man, Mrs. Daker,"
he says, pointing at Sam's face on the page.
"He was in the group of people you came in with earlier?" "Yes, he was, Ken. Why?"
"I'm afraid he's dead, ma'am. Fell onto the street outside. Did you not notice?"
"You're mistaken, Ken. He's in the flat somewhere, I'm sure."
She frowns now and turns to look at the faces in the apartment, who are still talking, drinking coffee and eating cheese from a long dark wood board set in the centre of the dining table.
"I can't see him, Ken, for a moment."
"That's because he's outside, madam. Are you okay?"
She seems not to understand. Then her mind realizes something, and she feels weak. Verity pushes out her hand to steady herself, and Ken steps forward to support her. Olivia sees this happening from across the flat and walks over. "What's happened?" she says to Ken.
"She nearly fainted, I think,"
he says. "Come and sit down, Verity."
"In the bedroom, not in here,"
says the woman, and Olivia follows her instructions. Verity turns back to the security man.
"Bring my husband, will you, Ken?"
Olivia supports her into the bedroom, and Verity sits down on the bed. Within 5 seconds, Arnold and Ken arrive.
"What is it, darling?"
he says to his wife. Verity looks serious.
"Sam Kinsey,"
she says.
"He's dead, Arnold."
"What are you talking about? I saw him 5 minutes ago."
Verity looks at Ken.
"He fell on the street, sir." "And died, Ken? Is that what you're saying?" "It's not a pretty sight, sir. My communications team will handle all of this."
"Handle all of what?" says Olivia.
"The public relations."
"Do you know how he died?" she says.
"As Ken says, chap fell overboard. A heart attack, maybe? A drug taker, probably,"
says Arnold. "Do you know if Sam took drugs?"
"These types always do, don't they?"
"What types?" Arnold looks at Verity.
"I don't know. I'm in shock. Ignore me."
He turns away and walks into the ensuite bathroom, then closes the door. "Ken, isn't it?" says Olivia, and the man nods. "Did you see what happened?"
"No, miss. A bloke came in saying there was a body on the pavement. I went out and had a look and covered him up. We've got a cupboard of bed linen because some of the flats are serviced. I used one of the sheets."
"Is he still out there?" says Olivia.
"Terry, my deputy, is out there. He put up some barriers and called the police."
"And no one saw him falling?"
Ken shakes his head. "It's probably on the videos."
"The security videos?"
"Yeah, the building's got cameras all around it, some of them at the top. So maybe it's on there."
Arnold is back in the room again.
"My communications people are on their way. They can handle the police."
"Do they have legal knowledge?" says Olivia.
"No, they're fine, though.
Let me help them. I can collate some evidence before they get here, to inform their messages.
Yes, please, he says. Thank you.
Olivia looks at Ken. Can you show me the security videos, Ken, please?
They're downstairs, behind reception, miss.
Then lead the way. They emerge from the bedroom and Poppy can see her mother. Olivia beckons her and continues walking after Ken. The teenager follows and catches them up at the lift. Sam Kinsey is dead, says Olivia to her daughter.
What? When?
Fell out of the building. How long ago, Ken? 20 minutes?
Something like that, miss.
We're going to see the videos of the fall and compile any evidence we can to help Mr. Daker's team. They drop down to ground, and Ken takes them into a room behind the reception desk that has 12 screens on one wall, all showing different corners or entrances of the block of flats. Ken fiddles with the controls of a console beneath the screens, and he searches through the latest video recordings for the front of the building until he finds something relevant.
Here,
he says, and he hits play. They all watch the screen. The camera angle is a steep shot from the top corner of the building and includes the balcony of the Daker's apartment. They can see Sam talking on his phone. Then there's a movement of shadow behind him, and a man appears from the flat and simply pushes Sam towards the barrier, with enough force for Sam to roll over the top bar and drop out of sight.
That's all there is,
says Ken.
3 seconds.
Can you step it back frame by frame? Says Olivia. And he does so until she says, Stop there. Can you zoom in, Ken? On the screen is the face of the delivery man. They all explore the man's features.
He looks like someone famous,
says Poppy.
That actor bloke, Steve Crawland. He was a policeman in that thriller film last year. Has he given up acting to be a killer now?
A doppelganger, says Olivia. There's someone somewhere who looks like all of us, apparently. Just in another life.
That's weird,
says Poppy. Let's have a look at the body before the police arrive. And they walk out to the street, where Terry is standing guard. Terry, I'm Olivia. We're helping Ken piece together what happened. Can we have a quick look, please? The man doesn't object as Ken is standing 6 feet away. It'll be messy, says Olivia to Poppy. You don't have to look.
No, go on, Mum. It'll be good training.
They go down on their haunches, and Olivia lifts the sheet. Poppy grimaces.
Oh, not much evidence there.
Consistent with a fall from a height onto a hard surface. As she drops the sheet back down, they can all see blue flashing lights as a police car turns the corner of the road. The officers stop their vehicle by the curb and get out a police tent from their car to cover Sam's body. Ken explains to them the events of the night, including that the killer seems to look like a famous actor. Poppy is feeling sick after witnessing the corpse, so she and Olivia stay outside to get some fresh air, as Ken leads the police up to the Daker's apartment.
I'll be okay,
she says after a minute.
It was seeing him smashed up after talking to him only an hour ago.
I didn't even get to talk to him, says her mother. What was he saying?
That he was an investor in startups,
she says.
Also, he said he used to be Cassie's boyfriend, and that the Dakers only invite people to their dinners if the people are valuable to them, and there was a specific reason why each of us got invited tonight. I wonder what mine was.
I know yours. Arnold told me, says Olivia. Because I said to him a year ago when I was working with him that you were level-headed, Arnold invited you and sat you next to Edward to encourage him to follow his preordained path into Daker and Son.
Sam reckoned he was invited because the parents wanted to quiz him about telling them where Cassie is. We could check that with them. Anyway, Mum, I'm feeling better. Shall we go back in?
They start to walk inside, then Poppy groans.
Oh, I'm seeing things now. That rubbish on the pavement over there. looked like a face for a second." She points to a discarded object that has been thrown on the ground.
Olivia looks. "No, it's not you, Poppy. It does look like a face." They walk over and look at it more closely.
"It is a face," she says. "Or more accurately, a full face mask of the actor Steve Crowland from that film."
"Discarded by the delivery man," says Olivia. They go back up to the penthouse. The door is open and people are milling about in the hallway, as they have all been told by the police officers to wait to have their details recorded before they can leave. Olivia tells one of the police about the discarded face mask, and he goes off to bag it up. Verity and Arnold Daker are sitting on tall stools in the kitchen when Olivia and Poppy walk in.
"The police showed us the video of Sam being pushed,"
says Arnold. "The killer wore a face mask," says Olivia. "We found it thrown away outside."
"Can I ask you something?"
says Poppy to Arnold, and he smiles at her.
"Was everyone here tonight invited for a reason? A reason to give you some benefit? Like me talking to Edward to keep him on the straight and narrow?"
"Everyone is valuable,"
he says.
"Why was Sam invited?"
says Poppy.
"We wanted to know about our daughter. She's incommunicado. Sam may have known where she is."
"Apologies if this is too private," says Olivia. "But what was the argument about that made Cassie leave? I only ask as it may have some bearing on Sam's death."
"Sam and Cassie were trying to con me," says Arnold. "He was trying to use her to get close to me to support some harebrained investment scheme. I wasn't going to fund his—"
"Liquidity,"
says Poppy.
"Cash is the most dangerous type of money," he says. "Untraceable once it's notes. It can be converted into anything."
"Sam said that too,"
says Poppy. Verity looks interested.
"What else does he say?" "That he and Cassie had split up?"
Verity's face drops and she and Arnold exchange a glance. "Going back to the argument," says Olivia. "You said that you thought they were trying to trick you. How did they think that would work? Their knowledge of investment is far less than yours."
"She's bright," says Arnold. "She's very good with numbers. She understands the way the markets work. I've taught her everything I know."
"Edward told me," said Poppy, "that Cassie wasn't interested in banking, and only Edward was going to follow in your footsteps." "Only Edward wanted to join the company," says Verity. "Cassie wants to go her own way, start her own business."
She looks at Arnold with sadness in her eyes.
"My husband may not agree, but Cassie is more than good with money. She's a financial genius. She doesn't need a leg up like Edward does."
"Could she have killed Sam?" says Olivia. "As revenge?" Arnold pulls his eyebrows together. They were no longer together. Perhaps they had an acrimonious split.
"Maybe that, but not enough to turn her into a killer,"
he says.
"My children aren't killers."
One of the police officers walks in.
"Mr. and Mrs. Daker, a question for you,"
he says.
"We saw on the video that the deceased was on the telephone when he was attacked, so we got hold of the record of his calls. And we found this."
The man holds up the printout of the list of Sam's calls, the durations, numbers called, the time, and the cost of each.
"This number here, sir?"
He points to the final number on the list.
"That's the call he was on when he fell. That's your number, Mr. Daker."
Verity looks at her husband.
"You were talking to Sam Kinsey when he died? What were you talking about?"
"I don't remember."
"I think you do," says Olivia. "Because I think you were the decoy."
"Now you've lost me,"
he says.
He looks at the policeman. "Are you getting back to the investigation, officer, or just speculating?"
"Did he hurt your daughter?"
says Poppy. Arnold looks trapped.
"Or steal from her?" "Arnold," says Verity, "I know when you're keeping something back. What do you know?" A young man has died. If you know something, tell us for God's sake.
He nearly destroyed her, Verity, he says. Our girl, our genius girl. She loved him. He was just using her to siphon cash out of her accounts.
And you had to get your own back, says Olivia. Arnold's face is a mask of pain and sadness.
After our argument, she stormed out. She went to live with him in his place in Tower Hill.
You knew?
Says Verity. A month later I was leaving work, about 7, 8 maybe. We'd been trading New York, so we were working late. She was there, in the rain, standing outside, waiting for me. I took her to dinner, and she told me everything. Sam Kinsey was a con man. He wasn't a venture capitalist. The Yanks call it a Ponzi scheme. You pay interest from successive capital funding and escape before anyone realizes there's no money.
Can I ask you again, Mr. Daker, says Olivia. Given what you've said, your daughter Cassie had a good reason to want Sam Kinsey dead. Did she wear the mask and push him off the edge tonight? It wasn't you, because you were here and you were on the phone to him.
She wanted to, says Arnold. I persuaded her not to do that. She would have wasted her genius life, and I need someone to run Daker & Son after me. Everyone waits for more from him. There's only one person in this family who follows my orders to the letter, says Arnold.
Edward, says Poppy. It was all planned tonight, wasn't it? That's why we all came back here after dinner, with enough people to create a crowd so no one would notice Edward slipping out to collect a case of wine, a delivery uniform, and a mask of a famous actor.
Verity walks to the door of the kitchen and scans the faces in the lounge.
He's not here,
she says, and returns to stand in front of her husband.
Do you know where he is?
Arnold looks at his watch. Halfway across the North Sea by now, in our boat. He and Cassie took it as soon as he'd left the building. She can pilot it, and she picked him up on the Thames, and they headed out east.
There's a pause, and then the policeman says,
"You come with me, sir. We'll get a formal statement from you."
Verity grabs his hand as he's led away, and their fingers slip apart as he leaves.
Can I go with him?
She says to Olivia. You can, but it may be a long wait.
I'll go anywhere.
And she walks out. Poppy turns to her mother.
It's sad how Mr. Daker sees people as valuable only when they can do stuff for him,
says the teenager.
Edward was trying to tell me that over dinner now, I think. He felt trapped into a life that was decided for him.
The father certainly did put pressure on his children to fit into his world.
Mr. Daker was repeating what happened to him when his dad died.
Come on, Poppy. Let's go home. They walk out to the lounge where Ken is overseeing everyone as they leave. Olivia and Poppy drop down to ground and walk out into the night, then start to make their way through the streets of London to the tube station. The Street Files, a complete mystery short story, every Wednesday.